Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's Sunday afternoon. It's June 28th, 2026. So it's like the last few days of June, and right now we can feel summer heat is here. Here it is right where I'm at right now. It's 94 degrees here in Gainesville, Florida. And I'm probably sure it's probably about that hot where most of you are, most of my friends, relatives are probably in the low 90s, mid 90s. Some of you may be lucky enough to be in the 80s, but most of us are in the 90s. So let me just show you real quick what's going on with our weather right now. Let me share my screen, and we're going to look at the overall satellite map of the North Atlantic here. I just want to show you a few things here. Pull up my illustration, and we can see right now there's a tropical wave right here where I'm highlighting blue. Here's another tropical wave that just moved into Mexico. And as you can see, the trade winds are really cranking along here in the Caribbean. Trade winds still moving along through here. And as you can see here, boy, just void of deep thunderstorms. There's no deep thunderstorms out there across the Atlantic, and that's pretty typical for late June. That's not uncommon at all. Doesn't mean we're going to have, that doesn't guarantee a dead hurricane season, but this year in particular, it's probably going to be pretty quiet. However, I will take note of this even with this being an El Nino year, with an El Nino in the Pacific developing, as you can see, it's really not crazy busy out there. I mean, we do have a pretty good feature popping up right here that's probably going to become a tropical storm, if not a hurricane. That's the future storm right there. It's a terrible symbol, but that's supposed to be the tropical storm symbol. And that's going to be the area, the hotbed of activity this year. It's going to be basically um, it's going to be this area here, and then further west across the central and west Pacific. So that's about it for the tropics for right now. Let me go on over to our weather maps here locally here in the right in the state of Florida. And as you can see, if I bring up the satellite map here, there's a couple of things I want to point out. Across Florida and across Georgia and Alabama, you can see what is basically um, just your typical summer type cloud patterns. You got these, you see these little white little puffs that look like little tiny pieces of cotton across the map here. Those are cumulus clouds, and those are typical for a fair summer weather day. And one thing you'll probably notice here, look at these clouds, the way they're streaming off. Let me get a different, this is the marker. I need to look how the clouds are being blown this way. That is upper level winds out of the east. And you can see right here across South Florida, there's blasting to the west here. That is because just to the north of us, just to the north of the south of the state of Florida here, we have a strong ridge of high pressure off the map here. I'll just put the big old H right here, but it's further north. What that's doing is creating a strong upper level easterly flow across Florida. And as far as like surface weather, doesn't really impact it much. However, at the upper levels, as these thunderstorms start developing, they're going to be tilted to the west. So the cloud, some people along the west coast of Florida might actually get to where it looks like a thunderstorm's popping up, and it just gets cloudy, but it doesn't actually rain. That's going to happen for some people along Florida's west coast. Of course, I will note right here along the nature coast north of Tampa Bay, going from about Pinellas County all the way up to Levy County and through Citrus and Hernando counties, Pasco counties, there's getting to be some pretty good thunderheads popping up here, perhaps around like Spring Hill and going over towards Palm Harbor and going up towards Newport Richey and going up north, as far north as about Citrus Springs. There's going to be some thunderstorms popping up over there in that area. And then it looks like now in my area right here in Gainesville, where I'm making this little circle, that's Gainesville. As you look, it looks like there's some thunderstorms trying to pop up just west of the St. Johns River. You can see the East Coast sea breeze right here. See the boundary right there? That's the surface winds coming off the Atlantic. So those just might kick up some thunderstorms here over the just west of the what's that river? The St. Johns River. and we may get some widely scattered activity across north central Florida. But honestly, here in Gainesville, it's about a 30 to 40% chance of rain this afternoon. The big story is going to be the heat. It's going to be really hot. Now, over here in the panhandle, looks pretty dry here too. There's a up mid-level dry air across the panhandle, across South Alabama and South Georgia. So you're not going to see much activity in that area today. Not until we get into later this week, like on Tuesday. This area is going to fill in with thunderstorms because there's going to be basically a low pressure area is going to set up right out here. I don't think it's going to become anything tropical, anything more maybe than a 40-mile-per-hour tropical storm, but that's not uncommon for late June, early July. And you'll see in the computer model forecast that I'm getting ready to share that this area that I'm just highlighting as the heat in the heat, this whole area is basically going to fill in with rain and thunderstorms. This whole area, just going to put some zigzaggy lines here, thunderstorms, rain, and more thunderstorms. That's this whole area is going to be wet basically Monday evening through probably Thursday. And then probably going into Friday too, going into the 4th of July weekend. So let's take a look here at some of these computer models and see what the heck's going on here. So the first thing here, since the AI models have been doing so well lately, I'm going to go right to those. Let's do the European AI and see what happens here. So you can see there's a frontal boundary right here. And there's cloudy and rainy weather across the mid-Atlantic states and the Appalachian areas. You see a little weak area of low pressure out here over the Northwest Atlantic. You can obviously see a pretty powerful storm up here over southern Alberta, and then it's rain stretching into Minnesota and Iowa. Now watch what happens when we put this into motion here. I'm going to slow it down. Now watch down here. Low pressure comes off of North Carolina, starts to kind of fester out here between Bermuda and basically South Carolina. It's sitting here, it's spinning, kind of gets weak, and then it starts retrograding, moving a little further west. Doesn't look that impressive to me, though. It looks like maybe another disturbance may form further south and go across Florida and just set up across the state by maybe midweek. Looks like next week, around July 6th and 7th, it's going to be really stormy along the Gulf Coast, but I don't see any tropical development out of this particular model. Let's look at another one here. Let's look at the GFS AI. See what it has. Okay, so you kind of see the same type of setup here. You got low pressure across the mid-Atlantic. You got storm over Alberta. Put this into motion. Let's see what happens. Same idea. Low pressure out here. Looks like the GFS AI version is looking very similar to the Euro. I don't see much. There's maybe a little indication of a tropical wave across Florida, but no concentrated area of low pressure. So it just looks to me like we're going to have like a trough of low pressure and convergence that are just kind of set up across the Gulf and across the Southeast, across Florida particularly. It's going to lead to heavy rain next week. And that's watch the clock here, or not the clock, the calendar. So July, we're talking about possible development. Looks like July 5th and 6th, but that's when most of the rain's going to happen. So let me just stop it here on July 4th and see what it's looking like on that particular day. Okay, you got July 2nd, July 3rd. Okay, early morning, July 4th. Looks like it might be raining across South Florida. And let's put this forward one time. Looks like mostly sunny in the morning on the 4th of July. And looks like coastal waters, we start setting up thunderstorm activity off Cape Canaveral. And then as we get into, okay, so actually on the morning of the 4th of July, any festivities you have planned across most of Florida looks good in the morning, but in the afternoon, thunderstorms popping up for sure across the peninsula. But this isn't tropical related. This is like afternoon, evening thunderstorms. So it doesn't look like much is going to happen. So 4th of July fireworks in the evening might be messed up, but any plans in the morning look pretty good for right now. So anyway, that's all I have for right now. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I'll check back in with you in a few days here.